I the a-hole for encouraging my mom not to take care of my dad's affair child if she did not want to? My dad cheated on my mom for years. During his affair, he let me down many times too. He'd planned stuff with me, and if his affair partner was in town or available, he dropped me without a word. So when the truth came out, I was mad as hell with him. My younger sister was more forgiving though, and continued to have a relationship with him. The affair was revealed because the mistress was pregnant, but she lost that baby. They ended up getting married, and 2 years ago had a child together whom I never met. A few months ago, they both died in a car crash that claimed 5 people's lives. A social worker contacted me and my sister to see if one of us would take her in. We were left until last because they wanted other bio-relatives first, but none of them wanted her. My sister asked if we could raise her together. I said I was not getting involved and told the social worker I would not raise her. My sister, who is only 19, stepped up, but there were some things that needed to happen first. She dropped out of her college classes. She was working during the day and going to college at night. And she needed to move into a 2-bedroom place instead of the 1-bedroom she was in. She also needed to get some background check done. But she passed. She has the child. And now she's having a hard time with childcare. She knew I wouldn't say yes, so she asked our mom. Begged our mom. She told mom if she loves her, she'll help her. And that she'll start opening her heart up to her little sister, who is part of her girls, even if she hates our dad still. My sister laid on a guilt trip to her. Mom said she needed to think, so she called me, told me she didn't want to do it, that she hates the thought of having that child in her home and caring for her. But she knows it will ruin her relationship with my sister if she doesn't. I told her she shouldn't do it, that not only she would not be a good fit for one, but she would also be miserable. And while my sister might not hate her, she could end up resenting them both. She agreed with me and told my sister she would not watch the child. My sister called and asked if I had anything to do with it. I played dumb and said I didn't know what she meant. She said she knew that was a lie because mom was so close to doing the right thing, and suddenly she's firmly no. She called me the C-word, a witch, said I was heartless, that one day she'll tell our little sister everything and will make me face up to my rejection of her and my lack of care for her. I told her I owed the child nothing, and I would not apologize for telling mom to do what she wants. My sister then said I was cold-hearted and cruel, and I don't seem to care about her either. I told her I cannot pretend to care about the child dad created with his affair partner, and that she would rather me stay away. She said it didn't mean I needed to push mom to refuse to help her either, that I was still an ass for that. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. And honestly, I'm surprised CPS gave your sister custody considering she is 19, basically a kid herself. Not blaming your mother in the slightest for not wanting to do anything with the affair child of her ex-husband. Your sister is the one to blame for taking on a kid she wasn't financially ready for. I think they just did everything to keep her with a blood relative. Plus, my sister was willing to fight to take her. If your sister was willing to fight to take her, then she should have been prepared financially and had a proper education to fund having a child. She felt morally obligated to take in your late father's child. Maybe this is her way of still being with her dad? It might be selfish of her to do that, but I don't know. All I know is she took on the responsibility and is now asking your mother for help who did not sign up for this at all. Not the a-hole. You and your mother made a decision that you would not care for the child. Your sister is angry because she assumed that she'd be able to get someone to help her, but she can't. I don't envy her position at all. She's essentially a single mom at 19. And I feel bad for the kid, who needs stability and safety and unconditional love. But she doesn't get to decide right from wrong for you and your mother. And she certainly doesn't get to manipulate your mother into caring for the living representation of your father's betrayal. It's honestly in the kid's best interest that you and your mom don't care for her. Kids are perceptive. They know when they aren't liked or wanted. And she absolutely doesn't need that right now. Anyone who plays the "if you love me you'd" card is almost always a shameless manipulator, and therefore the a-hole. I think my sister assumed we'd change mom's mind once she had taken the child on, or maybe that mom would be willing to help her out fully. She thinks I was wrong for saying no already. This is all making her angrier, because she claims she's our family. I know she's always had a relationship with a child, but I have never even met her, and I don't plan on that changing. I know my sister doesn't like that, but staying away is the right thing. Because, like you said, kids know when they're not wanted. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not being an active grandparent? I, male 47, have a son Jake, male 26, who has his own son Mike, male 5. Jake's mother and I only had a short-term relationship, and it was an accidental pregnancy. To be blunt, I never wanted to be a parent, particularly not at 21. However, Jake's mother did, and it wasn't my decision. Although we have always kept the peace, things have always been icy between us due to that. However, I always tried to do right by Jake. I would have him over other weekend and for a month during the summer. Would do my best to deliver on anything he asked of me. Treated him kindly and tried to be a good father. Then, at a certain point, his mother married a guy Jake hated, and I had him move in with me once he was 13. I won't lie, I wasn't cut out to be a parent. I love Jake, but I just hated parenting. I did it anyway since he was my son. We have a very good relationship, and I've never shirked any responsibility to him. Jake also became a father at 21. However, he was all for it and is happily married to Mike's mother. I also got him into my electrician's union and had him set up on some good jobs. So, he was on much better footing than I was for a child. Back then, we had a long talk, and I told him, Jake, being a parent is a very different life. It is hard, exhausting, and on a day-to-day basis. You don't really get to do what you want to do very much. It will be a very long time before you don't have that kind of responsibility anymore. Then, the conversation turned to how I'd help him. I told him no, I am retiring from parenting. I am turning back to my own life. He has his own home, union job, is engaged, and adult enough to decide to have a baby. He's the adult now. He's the parent. I'll be around, and if there are any emergencies, obviously I'll do what I can. But I won't be an active grandparent. I've largely held to it. I have been doing a lot of travel, I have a girlfriend, hobbies, and to be blunt, I'm doing all the things I didn't get to do in my 20s. Do I see Jake and his family? Yes. However, I rarely agree to babysit. Jake resents that I don't go to Mike's games because they tend to conflict with my weightlifting club, and that I'm pretty hands-off with Mike. Things came to a head last week when Mike had a baseball tournament and I refused to go because I had plans to take scuba class with my girlfriend, which admittedly could be rescheduled. I didn't tell Jake this, but I spent so many Saturdays bored out of my skull watching Little League when Jake was little. I always cheered loudly, was crazy supportive, and never let on that it was like watching paint dry. But this is no longer my responsibility. So I told him, Jake, I spent 20 years parenting. That's enough. He then yelled at me that I am always jetting around playing like a teenager and not putting him first. I told him that no, I wasn't. I did that for 20 years to get him on his feet as an adult. I've done that and can go back to prioritizing my own life. What I am reading from this is that you knew you were not cut out to be a parent. You feel you have done your duty and are now determined to do everything you feel you missed out on. You can do whatever you like, and whether you are the a-hole or not, your actions will have consequences. But only time will tell if you find you regret your actions or not. Indeed, you read it right. I have also considered exactly what you suggest in your last line. Thought very hard about it, in fact. I am far more likely to regret never getting to live my own life if I were to give that up again. You might not be the a-hole, but you're ruining your relationship with your son by essentially saying, I don't care about being actively involved in your life. I've already done the bare minimum expected of me and I won't do more. Do you want him to go no contact with you? Because that's the direction this is heading in. Maybe this will make me the a-hole, but if that's the price, okay. I've spent 20 years putting Jake first and not really having much of a life. I didn't get on a plane to Thailand and change my name. I didn't tell his mom I don't want to be a father, so if you have a baby, I'll pay child support but leave me alone. I was a very active parent. Jake was raised into a fully functional adult with a stable, steady job, his own home, and his own wife and baby. I did it because I fathered a child. He couldn't take care of himself, and it was my responsibility. Jake is fully able to take care of himself and Mike, as is Mike's mother. If I need to give up the next 20 years and be daddy again, no. I'll only do it once. This time, I'm proverbially getting on the plane to Thailand. The price is too high. I've done my duty and hung up my parent hat. At this point, yes, I am done. I've signed up for and took responsibility for Jake. Jake chose to have Mike, well and good, but now he's the parent, not me. Although every disagreement on the internet always has going no contact as literally the first port of call, real life isn't like that. But because it seems that is what everyone wants to talk about, if let's say that were really what it came down to, so be it. I'd wish him and his family well. But whether it makes me the a-hole or not, I've taken my life back, and I'm not going to put it to the side again. If the choices are I walk off into the sunset or I have to be a daddy again, I'm walking off into the sunset. Nobody has threatened such a thing, nor is anyone talking about it. But this, being the internet, it is the go-to that everyone says immediately. I hope things don't go that way. I don't want them to go that way. But if those are the terms, that will be my choice. Next story. Am I the a-hole for crying, causing a wedding to be called off? I'm 31, female. I have a friend named Anna, 35, female, and Alex, 33, male, has a 7-year-old daughter named Frankie who has a severe peanut allergy. Alex is very protective of Frankie and takes great precautions to ensure her safety. One day, Anna and I decided to go to a restaurant, and we informed Alex beforehand. He explicitly told us to make sure that there were no peanuts in the food. Unfortunately, in the midst of ordering our meals, I completely forgot about Frankie's allergy, and she ended up eating something with peanuts in it. This resulted in Frankie having a severe allergic reaction and requiring immediate medical attention. Upon learning about the incident, Alex understandably became angry and upset. He directed his frustration towards me and Anna, stating that we should have asked about the presence of peanuts in the food. Furthermore, he expressed that he no longer wanted me around Frankie if we couldn't be more responsible. I busted out in tears. This argument escalated, leading to a major fight between Anna and Alex and ultimately causing their wedding to be called off. Now both friends and family are placing the blame on me, stating that Anna and I should have been more cautious and that I ruined the wedding because I'm an idiot who doesn't listen. Info. Were you the only one ordering? Could Anna have identified that there was peanut in the food? Why did the argument escalate? Why did you not simply agree you had been irresponsible and agreed to not be around Frankie? Anna told me it escalated because I was the one who ordered the food, because Anna had to relieve herself and she was in the bathroom when I ordered it. And Alex said he doesn't want me around because he reminded us in the car before we went in a restaurant to check for peanuts. How long was it between this reminder and ordering that you managed to forget something so important? I'm guessing it was minutes, not hours, which makes your failure exponentially worse. Do you usually forget things so quickly? If so, you need to talk to your doctor about these lapses, since a little girl could have died because you have holes in your memory. You're the a-hole. I love how you purposely left out that you are the only adult at a table at a time of ordering. You are 31. If you think you can shake off any responsibility with "I just forget" and "I'm not good at listening," you might need to be accompanied by an adult to navigate daily tasks. You're the a-hole. You could have killed that child. Hope he also left out the fact that the dish was Kung Pao chicken. So literally a peanut chicken dish after having been told right before on the phone to not forget about the peanut allergy. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister's friend I'm married after being widowed for 20 plus years? I lost my wife, Lana, 20 years ago after the birth of our son. Lana and I were childhood sweethearts who saw ourselves growing old together. She was my everything, but during her pregnancy they discovered she had cancer. And because she was already terminal, she dedicated the final months of her life to giving birth to a healthy son and making sure he and I would be okay. She died hours after he was born. The pregnancy, as well as the delivery, C-section, weakened her significantly, only living long enough to get one photo with him. It was such a painful time, and I always knew I would consider myself married until I pass away as well. This was difficult for my family to understand. I was 26. They felt I was young enough to bounce back fast and remarry and continue life with a new family and new love. But that never held any interest for me. I've never taken off my wedding ring. I've been asked out over the years and I always say no. And if pushed, that I am married, and people rarely ask questions. Over the years, my family have introduced me to women who they think could be the one to change my mind. It is something we have disagreed over. They even asked my son if he wouldn't like a new mommy when he was little, and it resulted in no contact for a while. They eventually apologized. My sister and her husband celebrated 30 years of marriage last month, and they threw a party with family and friends. My sister invited a friend of hers along who I have never met. She started talking to me during the party and mentioned that my sister said we would be perfect for each other and how she was excited for us to spend some time together after the party. I asked her what she meant by that, and she said we were going out to dinner, just the two of us, right after. I told her I never agreed to that, and then I told her I was married. She got the idea that I was divorced, and I told her that my wife had passed away many years ago, but I considered myself still married. She was shocked, and afterward my sister was angry at me. She told me I had made her out to be a liar, and her friend was hurt that she tried to set her up with someone who was so hung up on someone else. I told her I had made it perfectly clear I would not be dating, that she was the one who gave her friend the impression I wanted to date. She told me telling people I'm married when I'm not anymore is wrong, that it pushes people away and gives them the wrong idea. I left early because she was not willing to let it go. Afterward, my brother-in-law said my sister meant well and that I have to understand where the concern comes from, because even though I found my own happiness, it's not the way my family wanted me to, and they worry even more now that my son's in college. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I'm a widow. It's only been 4 years. My mom was widowed twice. My first dad died while she was pregnant with me. My mom told me that we stay married in our heart, soul, and mind, and I've found that no one understands that, but I do. You are not the a-hole all the way. It's nobody's business how long it has been. You are married, period. If no one understands, too bad for them. Time is relative. 4 years later, it feels like I just found his body again and again. Take care. I'm terribly, terribly sorry. Your wife must have been as amazing as you. Be strong. It's the most terrible pain, incomprehensible pain. I'm so sorry for your loss. Not the a-hole. Good for you. Other people should concentrate on their own lives. Even though I found my own happiness, it's not the way my family wanted me to. So what? You're happy. I am happy for you. Why can't they be? I don't think my family believes in happiness outside of marriage and having a family with your spouse. They think anyone who doesn't want that again is somehow incapable of being truly happy. They're also not very good at listening.